Hey everybody, so in this tutorial I want to go over how to do certain things on Excel. One, this will be really useful for you guys because Excel is obviously something that you want to be really familiar with, but also for your final exams, both in the multiple choice and in the longer answer questions. The things that I'm going to show you can come up. So I've seen questions in the multiple choice where it's like, here's a function from Excel, what does it do? Or how would you write this function? And so understanding how to do them can help you there, but also when you're going to be doing your Excel things, these things might come in handy. So I'm going to show you guys a bunch of really important functions. I'm also going to show you guys how to do certain things like how to build drop-down lists, how to build a dashboard, how to connect graphs together, right? Making a graph on Excel is not difficult, but you can have dynamic graphs that are all connected. Similar to what we did, I think it was assignment 2, I can't remember. But definitely in the past exams there have been dashboards, and so I want to show you guys how to make one. So what I want is for you guys to download this Excel sheet. You should have access to it, and there's two things here. There's the sheet and then there's the actual dashboard page. We're going to be building our dashboard here. If you do get a dashboard question, it's going to look like this. So I want to start with some basic functions. The first one is the sum. So some of this stuff will be really basic, but let's just do it anyways. Let's add a column here. We'll call it. So by the way, the context is these are all salespeople. There's about 300 salespeople from this company and from various departments. The date they joined the company, the region they're in, and so on and so on, their employee ID and so on. So let's add a column. We'll call it total sales. You've been given their sales per quarter, but let's say we wanted to know their total sales. So let's do a sum function. The way you create a function is starting by the equal sign, obviously, and then writing sum. So like any other time where you're trying to write a function or a formula, you start with the equal sign. And if you want to compute a sum, you just write sum, open your bracket, and now you need to go and select the cells that you're trying to add up. Now, if those cells are side by side like this, you can just click, drag, and highlight and select them all. If ever you wanted to add cells that were not adjacent, you can just click, comma, right? If I do this, you see what I'm doing? Cell, comma, cell, comma, cell, comma, cell, comma. It'll have the same effect. Okay, so I'm going to, whichever one of these works. Okay, so the total sales for David Moody, 50,166. Now, instead of having to do it for each person, you can take that function that you just made, copy, and now wherever you paste it, let's say you paste it down here. The way that Excel works when you use cell references like this is that wherever you paste this function, it'll take the cells that are kind of in the same position, if that makes sense. So from this, let's say from the cell where you built the formula, you told it, go and add up the 4 cells that are to the left, on the same line, but to the left by 3, well, like I guess 3, 4, 5, 6 to the left, right? Well, if I copy and paste it down, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to say, okay, I need to go and take the 4 cells that are exactly that far away in that position. And if I paste it down again, look, it's going to go and take those 3 cells. So, and no matter where I paste it, even if I paste it here randomly, you'll see which cells it tries to take. Later on, we'll talk about absolute cell references and that sort of thing. I actually think we talk about it in the crash. Now, the other thing here would be, so now I want to copy it all the way down. What you can also do is when you have it selected, if you mouse over to the corner, your cursor will turn into a black cross, click, and drag it all the way down. Okay, cool. So that's how you make a sum function. Now, another really useful function that you might have to use is the average function. So we'll write average sales. Let's calculate their average sales per quarter, and you guessed it, it's the exact same thing, average. Okay, equals average, open your bracket, select the ones you want, close your bracket, okay, done. And that's it. So we're going to just grab this, copy it all the way down. Got it. Oops, I messed that up. Let's try again. Oh no, that's fine. Okay. Next, I want to show you guys some logical functions. So the if function, the and function, the or function. Now, basically, this is you building out a function that makes Excel think, or you give it specific parameters like if this happens, or if you see this, then do this, but if you see that, then do that, sort of thing. So we're going to create a column here, and we'll call it high, low performer. And we're going to define a high performer as anybody whose total sales exceed 50K, and a low performer as anyone whose sales don't. So the way that you would do this, say equals, the way you make an if function is by typing if, open your bracket, and the first thing it's going to ask you is, okay, well, what is the logical test? What are you trying to, like, what is the condition that has to be met? So I'm saying that I want this number, right, 2 cells to the left, to be greater than or equal, so greater than or equal, you do greater than and then equal, 50,000. Okay, that is the logical test. Then you press comma, it's going to say, and the next thing you want to enter is, okay, well, what happens if that's true? So the first part that comes after the logical test is the output of Excel, or the Excel output, if it's true. So we're going to write here high performer. Now, whenever you want Excel to output text, you need to put it in quotations. So I'm going to write high performer. Close quotation marks. And then the next part is what it'll output if it's false. So if it's not over 50, at least 50K, we'll write low performer. Close your quotation, close your bracket. There you go. And now if you copy it down the way we did, look, anyone that was less than 50 is a low performer. Anyone above 50 is a high performer. And we'll just go all the way down. The next logical functions I want to talk about are the AND function and the OR function. You would use these functions similar to in stats, so we say AND and OR. AND is when you have multiple conditions that all have to be met. OR is when you have multiple conditions, but they don't all have to be met. It's just at least one of them has to be met. Now, what's a little bit different with Excel, and might be a little bit counterintuitive, is where you place the AND and the OR. In stats, typically we place it in between, like this and this, or this or this. But with Excel, you put it first. So let's write Q1 and Q2 sales. Okay. So I want to create a formula here that tells me whether or not each person had more than $10,000 worth of sales in each of the first 2 quarters. It's super random, but just to show you the function, okay? So equals and open bracket. You put and first. And then what is the first logical function? Well, I want the sales of Q1 to be greater than 10,000, okay? Comma, I want the sales in Q2 to also be greater than 10,000. And basically you can have as many as you want. So, you just comma, whatever the function, whatever the condition is, comma, whatever the condition is. And by putting the and in front, you're basically saying all of these need to be true. And if you close your bracket and hit enter, now because you didn't give it any specific output, Excel will just say true or false. So this was false. Why? Because this person had fewer than 10,000 sales in Q1. But if I copy this, you'll start to see that, let's say these people here that did have more than $10,000 in sales in each of the first 2 quarters, it comes out as true. So you see how it works? You put and then you list all of the conditions that you want to have that need to be true. Okay. OR works exactly the same way. So let's write Q3 or Q4 sales. Again, kind of random, but just to show you guys how it works. So this one, we're going to create a formula. It's going to output true or false. And we want to know whether or not the salesperson had sales of 10,000 or more in at least one of the two. So it doesn't have to be both. Remember, or is this or that. So the way you would do it, or, same thing, open bracket. What's the first logical test? Q3 greater than 10,000 or Q4 greater than 10,000. And as long as one of these is true, it'll come back as true. So look, let's say this person, let's say here this is false, false. But let's find somebody like this one here. Sales in Q3 were less than 10,000, but sales in Q4 were more than 10,000, and so the output is true because we said or. So both of these functions work the exact same way. So now how can we use these functions in combination with the if function? Well, here I showed you guys an if function where there was really just one logical test, one condition. Well, using what I just showed you with and or, you can actually build in, we call these nested functions, where you have one function that's kind of nested into the other. And so here, let's go back to this one and say, well, what if I don't want it to output true or false, the default output of Excel? I want it to output something specific. Well, I would say, let's delete this, okay? If, open bracket. Now, I want my sales in Q1 and my sales in Q2 to both be over 10,000. So I'm going to say, as part of my logical test, and then exactly what I did before. This greater than 10, and this greater than 10. Close my bracket, and then that is the end of your condition. You see how within the condition of the if function you put an and function, and now you're going to say, okay, well, what do you want it? What do you want it to say? Well, we want to say yes or comma no. You see, again, I'm putting it in brackets. Why? Because it's text. So no, because the Q1 was under 10, but if you paste it all the way down. Now, another function I want to show you, another thing I want to show you is how you can combine multiple cells into a single one. So I'm going to create a column up here, and this is what we'll do. We're going to create a fake email address for each employee. And I want the email address to be their employee ID underscore their department, or let's go department underscore employee ID at abc.com. So one of the functions that you can use is a function called concatenate. I think that's how you pronounce it anyways, concatenate, okay? And this is useful for exactly this purpose of combining texts from different cells. So let's say I want to combine the department, so whatever's in cell C2, with whatever I have in cell A2. Okay, and let's just close this and see what you get. Okay, you get sales 315. So you see, I could have done this. I could have added another one. I could have put, in the region, and that would have said sales 315 West. Now, what if I wanted to add? So by the way, that's that function, okay? Concatenate. You put the cells that you want, and if to have combined. Now, what if you wanted to add other elements in there, like the underscore or a dash in between, or something after, like the email? So another thing that's pretty useful is if you put this symbol, the and symbol, which is called an ampersand, I'm pretty sure, you can attach text to the function. So look, I put that ampersand now, okay? Now if I can add text, so let's say I want to add, and I'm putting quotations, at gmail.com. Let's go abccorporation.com. Close bracket. Close bracket. So look what's going to happen. Concatenate, combine the ones I wanted, and I was able to add some text at the end using the ampersand, that and symbol, quotations, and whatever text I wanted. Cool. What if I wanted to put text within the concatenate? What if I wanted to put, underscores here? Well, what you would need to do is add the text that you want as one of the texts inside the concatenate function. So let's say after the department, I wanted an underscore. Well, the underscore would become your second text. So I would just put quotation, underscore, quotation, comma. So now you're basically saying concatenate 4 things. The department first, then an underscore, which is text, then the employee ID, then the region. And it does exactly that. Concatenate. And again, you could just, paste it, copy it all the way down, and you get everybody's email like that.